So we know that President Trump and his billionaire friends are only in it for themselves. That's been well established. They've shown us exactly who they are for years now. But colleagues, I have to admit that what surprises me most is that when I hear from my Republican colleagues one-on-one that, well, we agree on more than you think. Let's just keep talking. Let's work to try to find this common ground. Let's do what's right for our country. Call me an optimist, but I'll believe my Republican colleagues when they say that they came to Washington to help their constituents. Now, while I disagree with it, I understand that some of our colleagues are choosing to make political decisions with some of President Trump's nominees. You may be thinking about a potential re-election in 2026. Maybe you think it's just easier to stand up to Trump on an issue somewhere further down the road than right now. But here's what surprises me. What's different with Russell Vought is that this is a nominee who embodies a larger vision about the presidency and about the country that would fundamentally hurt your constituents too. Not just our constituents, not just my constituents, all of our constituents. And it already has. This short-lived OMB funding freeze alone gave us a look at just some of the backlash from cutting a widely popular social safety net. So to my Republican colleagues, respectfully, I know you're getting the same calls as I am. I know you're hearing about the constituents whose lives will be made harder because of this. I know you're not blind to the real-world effects of Donald Trump and Russell Vought. This week, I've had Californians come out in droves to my office, encouraging me to oppose this nomination. They are demanding the services that they rely on to be protected, and they are refusing to let Russell Vought pillage programs like Head Start, like Meals on Wheels, like so many others, just so that the wealthiest Americans can get a bigger tax break. So today, I will end with this, a question to my colleagues across the aisle. Who are you more loyal to? Your own constituents or a reckless president? What are we doing in Washington if we're afraid to stand up for our states and for our constituents? Did any of you run for Senate to cut veterans' housing assistance? Did any of you run for Senate to slash school lunch programs and force kids to go hungry? Did any of you run for Senate to make it harder for communities to get support after a natural disaster and rebuild their home, to rebuild communities? I may sound crazy when I suggest this, but I don't believe it is any political risk at all to stand up for your constituents. And even if you hesitate to speak out publicly against Trump's unprecedented power grab, at least join me in voting against Russell Vought and his dangerous worldview. Don't let Trump's allegiance to billionaires crush your hardworking constituents, because I won't stand for it as he attempts to crush mine. I invite you, I encourage you, I implore you to do the right thing. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.